There are stories in Ireland older than the stones of Newgrange, older even than the memory of the land itself. Stories of shadows that walk between worlds, of ghosts, of warnings, of things that move unseen in the night. But none are as feared or as known as the Banshee. A woman of sorrow, a herald of death. Some say she is a ghost, others a fairy, some a fallen goddess from Ireland's forgotten past. But all agree on one thing: when she cries, someone will die. Tonight, we follow her footsteps through history, through myth and mystery, and into the heart of Ireland's belief in life beyond death. The word Banshee comes from the Irish bean she, pronounced Banshee. It means woman of the fairy mound. In Irish tradition, fairy mounds, she, are ancient earthen hills said to house the people of the other world, spirits, ancestors, the Tuatha Dé Danann themselves. The Banshee is a messenger from that place. She is not death, but the one who walks before it, calling out those soon to cross the veil. Sometimes she is seen, sometimes she is only heard. Her cry is unlike any human sound, a keening, a lament, a heart-shattering wail that chills the bones. Those who hear it say the sound is not merely heard in the ears, but felt in the soul. In the old times, at funerals across Ireland, women known as keeners would gather at wakes and sing a long, sorrowful lament called a cuina. They wept for the departed. They gave voice to grief that the family could not speak. These keeners were powerful. Their voices were believed to guide the dead safely onward. Some folklore says, the Banshee was once one of them, a mortal woman with an extraordinary voice, until she crossed into the other world and became the eternal keener of the dead. Others go further. They claim the Banshee is the spirit of a woman who died before her time, in childbirth, in betrayal, or in war, and she keens forever because she never received the rites of mourning herself. Yet another tale says she keens not out of malice, but because she loves the family she warns. She mourns before they must. A tragic blessing, a terrible gift. Irish folklore is rarely random, and the Banshee is no exception. Traditionally, she only cries for 5 great Irish families, all beginning with the letter O, descendants of the old Gaelic clans: O'Neills, O'Connors, O'Briens, O'Grady's, and O'Kellys. The list varies, and today it has expanded, but the idea remains. The Banshee follows bloodlines, not places, not houses, families. And wherever those families travel, to Dublin, to London, to New York, across oceans and continents, the Banshee follows. She knows their names, she knows their history, and when death draws near, she comes. The Banshee does not appear in a single form. Sometimes she is a ragged old woman with tangled grey hair, claws like twigs, and eyes red from eternal weeping. Sometimes she is a young maiden, pale as frost, dressed in white or grey, her beauty unsettling, her sadness overwhelming. And sometimes she appears not as a human at all, but as an animal, a hare, a hooded crow, a stoat with blood-red eyes. Always a woman, always a symbol of mourning, but never quite the same. Witnesses say her eyes are always full of tears, but she never wipes them away, for she cries not for herself, but for us. One of the most chilling things about the Banshee is how personal she is. She does not wander roads looking for strangers. She comes to the door of the dying. A man in Donegal tells of hearing the Banshee outside his grandmother's farmhouse at 3 a.m, a scream so sharp it shattered the silence and left the dogs whining in terror. The next morning, the grandmother was dead. Another story from Cork speaks of a family who heard gentle crying, not outside, but in the hallway of their home. No windows open, no doors ajar, only the sound of a woman weeping softly. By dawn, the father passed peacefully in his sleep. Sometimes the banshee wails like a banshee, raw, wild, unbearable. But sometimes she whispers, a soft lament, tender as a mother to a child. Not every warning is a scream. Not every death is tragedy. Across Ireland and Scotland there is another spirit, one closely related to, or perhaps the same as, the Banshee. She is called the Washer at the Ford, Cailleach Fan Gila, the washerwoman. Travellers near lonely streams late at night tell of seeing a woman washing clothes, always stained with blood. She sings as she washes, a haunting dirge over garments that belong to those who are about to die. In some tales, if you speak to her, she will tell you who the clothes belong to. In others, if you interrupt her, she strikes you down where you stand. And in the darkest version, if she turns her gaze upon you and reveals you are washing your own clothes, your fate is sealed. The Washer at the Ford, the Banshee, the Keening Woman. 3 names for one ancient energy, Death's messenger. To find the Banshee's deepest roots, we travel back beyond folklore into myth itself. Before Ireland was Christian, before castles, before kings. In the oldest stories, the Banshee is not a ghost, but a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann, Ireland's mystical race of gods and goddesses. A being of power and magic, reduced over centuries as belief changed, from goddess to fairy to feared spectre. Some connect her to Mourning, the Phantom Queen, a goddess of fate, battle and prophecy, who often appeared to heroes washing blood from armour before their final fight. Mourning chooses who lives and who dies. The Banshee merely announces what she already knows. A shadow of a goddess, a memory in mourning. You might believe these tales belong to centuries past, but they persist, even today. A nurse in a Dublin hospital once reported hearing a woman's crying in an empty corridor, moments before a patient passed away. In a home in Limerick, a family dog howled uncontrollably for hours, while a thin voice keened outside the window. No wind chimes, no neighbours awake. Minutes later, the phone rang. A cousin had died in Australia. Distance does not matter. Walls do not contain her. Where death walks, the Banshee is already there. Many fear the Banshee as a creature of doom, but perhaps there is another way to see her. Not as a monster, but as a mourner. A spirit sorrowful, not malicious, weeping for those we love before we must. She is a reminder that death comes for us all, but also that no one crosses alone. For even in final moments, a voice from the other world watches over us, acknowledging our passing, guiding our spirit forward. In this way, the Banshee is far less a terror and far more a companion, mourning us when we cannot mourn ourselves. Ireland is a land steeped in memory. The hills are full of stories, the rivers whisper secrets, and the air itself carries echoes of those long gone. The Banshee lives in that space, between the living and the dead, between grief and peace, between fear and love. She is not a warning of death. She is its lament, its witness, its voice, and perhaps its mercy. So tonight, if you find yourself walking beneath a moonlit sky and you hear a sound like wind that is not wind, or crying that cannot be traced, don't run, don't speak, just listen. For somewhere, a life has reached its last page, and the Banshee is turning it. Thank you for watching the Folklore Archive. If you enjoyed this journey into myth and mystery, subscribe and return for more stories from Ireland and beyond. Until next time, may the road rise to meet you, and may the Banshee's cry never fall upon your door.